Somewhere in the bowels of the city that never sleeps,
Kevin McCullough, radio host with Salem Media,
is a man also not sleeping.
Syndicated radio talk show host Kevin McCullough.
And that guy would like a word with you.
Many of you know him as Nostradamus.
Of course that Kevin show is going to be great. The only thing that could be greater, of course, would be that Donald show. But we don't have that, so we have that Kevin show.
Featuring the music of Dick Tunney and the Dream in Color Orchestra. And yet to come tonight on That Kevin Show, she's an actress from Sun Moon, Mackenzie Mosey. He's the most read pediatrician on earth, Dr. Harvey Karp. And Amber Autry on the Dry Bar Comedy stage, and Lainey Wilson back in the music spotlight. And now, from Times Square, where it's been 3,657 days since Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez last jumped an NYC subway turnstile, here's That Kevin.
All right. I don't know if announcer Dave is accurate with that number, but it was interesting to see AOC have an opinion this week about, people that take subways and how they should comport themselves. Evidently, she thinks it's fine if you just walk up to people and start going nuts and harassing them. Anyway, let's get to assignment desk weekend. President Biden, pictured here, describing the required distance he is now to maintain between he and girls that are under age 18, announced this week on Friday that he was holding a major press conference, though none were on his schedule. He began to figure out something might not be right when there was no one to call on. So he shook hands with all in attendance and called it a day. Democrats upset that the GOP released a commercial this last week in which they said that AI had painted a dystopian view of Biden's policies, demanded that in the future that they only use previously approved pictures. A new poll shows that a strong majority of Americans believe that sex is assigned at birth. How dare they? 60% of the respondents said that it's determined at birth. Your sex is determined there at birth. 35% said an individual can choose their sex as they go along in their course of life. And less than 1%, about 0.5%, said that the science is clear. Dylan Mulvaney is nuts and should not be endorsing any products from now on. Mysterious piles of pasta lining about a quarter of a mile of a creek bed in New Jersey. This was a mystery that had kept people guessing for a few days on the internet, trying to figure out where it came from and whose it belonged to and so forth. The ultimate explanation has been released, though. New Jersey. Boston Red Sox fans are expressing their contempt for Bud Light's use of the biological male, Dylan Mulvaney, to be the spokesperson for its product. Many saying it had nothing to do with Mulvaney's profession as much as it was that they just couldn't understand the sophisticated marketing tactics.
No. Wait.
President Biden, once again seen here trying to remember if he's standing upright or not, complained in an interview with MSNBC this week that it was in fact the left-leaning news outlet's fault that was to blame for his low poll numbers. MSNBC. which they found to be odd because the NBC-owned cable operation, in turn blamed Biden for their incredibly low audience numbers. And finally, that brings us to our discussion of the night, the sad saga of King Charles and Prince Harry. Now, as I understand it, the way things have gone this week with the coronation of King Charles happening this morning, Prince Harry, well, we already knew was off to a little bit of a rocky start because he said he was coming to the coronation, but not his wife and not his children, the grandchildren of now the king. Chose not to let him be there in this most historic moment of this most historic time. Now, he did express in public statements that there is hope that he and his father can reconcile. But this is what he has proposed, that they be forced to read his not necessarily great selling book called Spare, his own autobiographical account of some of his exploits, why he needs the King of England to know about his masturbatory experiences and other things from college all the way through to modern life. It is a little bit mind-boggling, but that's what he said he wanted. He wanted to have the family know what he had been through and understand what he had been through and therefore identify with him. And he also wants them to watch the widely panned, very trashy Netflix official documentary, Harry and Meghan. He said he would also like them to listen to their Spotify podcast and maybe attend their red carpet experiences as well in the near future. What all this means to Meghan's acting career, we can only take a guess at. But at the end of the day, he said he's not willing to really be reconciled to the royal family unless not only King Charles does this, but also Prince William and Princess Kate Middleton. The interesting thing about all of that is that this is all rehashed territory for Will and Kate and Harry and Meghan. These standing feuds have been there for a long time. And this grievance that Prince Harry has about his father not giving him enough attention and wanting to be back inside the inner circle really has a lot more to do with his wife than it does anything the royal family has done. If anything, you should draw the conclusion that the royal family has not had a problem accepting the in-laws of those who have married into the royal family. Kate Middleton's family has been widely accepted, and they were not necessarily the types of people that the royals would have associated with in the past. But there does seem to be a thread here. And that is, if you're a decent person, a nice person, a person that other people actually don't mind spending time with, that sometimes it actually works out in your favor. The problem with Harry and Meghan is that ever since they were royals and part of the official royal family doing official royal duties, is that they have had a chip on their shoulder, feeling like they were in some ways put off to the side. And maybe the royal family struggled with interracial marriage for the first one that they've had in their lineage. But it was very obvious to everyone that was watching that the royals had welcomed Meghan in, and now they had become, in fact, part of the family. It wasn't the royals' decision for Harry and Meghan to move all the way to California and basically extricate themselves from any type of royal activity. That was Meghan Markle's idea. I think Harry's in a difficult situation because he wants to extract demands from his father, the king, who's not going to give them to him. The King of England should not be bothered to read Harry's book called Spare. And he shouldn't be forced to sit and watch that Netflix trash either, the nauseating documentary that the two of them put out. At the end of the day, they need to shake hands. They need to be gentlemen, and they need to forgive and forgive. And whatever grievance is there, identify it, say, I'm sorry, but move on. But Harry wanting them to do that publicly is a different story. Publicly state that the royal family was wrong, publicly bring shame on the royal family, publicly air the dirty laundry that should have never been outside the family to begin with. Think about it if it was in the context of your own kids. You want them going to the TV cameras to explain all the things that they're mad at you about? That doesn't seem to make any sense at all. And I hope that for Harry and Meghan's sake, they don't let this beef keep them from experiencing what should be a very pleasant and enjoyable childhood for their children, the king's grandchildren. They've already started it off on a very rocky footing with not allowing the kids to even be there for the coronation. Where it goes from here, they will have to decide in the days and weeks to come. All right, Kevin McCullough, that's Assignment Desk Weekend. Stay with us because we've still got a big show coming up in the rest of this hour. The actress Mackenzie Mosey, speaking of Brits, joins me next.
Ready or not, we'll be right back.